Hello, viewers. Today we're working on a shop press here. I purchased a 12-ton hydraulic shop press. It's a fully hydraulic press compared to the other previous hydraulic mechanical press that I still have here. I just wanted to do a little bit of an upgrade. I bought this from a Princess Auto. It was on sale. I believe it was everything tax in was $395 and some change. I think it was on sale for like $350 or something plus taxes. So everything comes down to $395. So I'm just going to do the unboxing and the assembly of the shop press. So this one over here is also a 12 ton, but it's a mechanical hydraulic press. So this one has the spring and that bar and where the springs are. So you have the springs and the hydraulic bottle jack portion, and you have the actual the metal beam piece here. This press has been around here in the basement for maybe like 10 years now. I've used it maybe like a dozen times over the years. I haven't used it much. It works okay. It's not the best. It's a little cheap. I just wanted to upgrade to a better one to make things a little easier. There are some advantages for the hydraulic press that I just got now compared to this one. So, I'm just going to start unpackaging and reassembling everything. So I really don't know on how long this video is going to be, but I'm just going to do this as I go along. So I'm just going to start unboxing, organize everything, and then I'm just going to reassemble it. I might put everything on a time lapse because I don't want the video to be all that long. So this particular press, it's a 12 tons. I actually wanted to get a 20 tons, but I couldn't find anything in my like budget price range wise. But this one has like a actual gauge on top, in which it shows you the pressure when you are using it. So that's a little bit helpful. I believe that this hydraulic press has a little bit more advantage compared to the mechanical press. It's a little slower, but it's a lot more precision, and it makes things a little bit easier when you're using it compared to the mechanical one. So anyhow, I'm going to get started. I'm going to start unboxing everything. So this is everything. I just unpacked everything, the hydraulic unit and all of the beam bars and stuff. And there's a bunch of the nuts and bolts and everything. And this is the gauge that I was talking about earlier. Shows you how much tons when you're using the shop press. So it's gonna take me a while to to figure out on how to assemble this. So just just going to take me some time first to see and how everything goes, because I did hear that the owner's manual isn't too easy to follow. It doesn't really tell you much in terms of assembling everything. So it just tells you a few things. So I'm just going to go through it and then see if I can assemble it then. One other thing it comes with the a seal. I don't know if it's a spare seal or if it's a new seal that you are supposed to put in. So there's a bunch of nuts and bolts and washers. So I'm just going to have to organize everything and see on how to assemble it. So now I just sorted out all of the nuts and bolts, washers, lock washers, and things like that, and the clips. So just organizing it. So I'm just trying to figure out how to put everything all together. One other thing I forgot to mention that the package comes in two pieces. So the very long box and the short box. There are two packages, so they come in separate units. So uh, both are required in order to assemble the set. So this is what I have so far. All of the nuts and bolts are still loose. I'm going to tighten them up soon. So the piece in the middle is pre-assembled. So there are the two bars that go in here. There are two extra bars. I have not inserted them in yet. There's the pins, the locking pins for each one. And I'm still assembling the top beam part on top on both sides. I'm still uh, working on that. So the top portion. So I'm still putting it all together. So this is what I have for the bottom part, the base. So there's a piece that goes in between here, in the middle. So I made sure I put this in first before I put the lock washers and the nuts in on both sides. And then you have the individual support uh, braces or brackets for that. So I'm just going to tighten up the bolts at the bottom for now, so it's a little bit more stable, because at the moment it's a little bit wobbly. So I'm just going to tighten them up. The bolts are 13, and the nuts I believe are sorry the yeah the bolts are 14 and the nuts are 13 on this one. And the big bolts, 18 for the bolts and a 19 for the nuts. So it's a 13 for the bolts and 14 for the nuts. So I'm just going to tighten everything down now. Some of the bolts will have different sizes, so they're not all the same. So you have to watch out for that. I believe that one is a 13 and one is a 14 for the bolts. So I think there may have been a little bit of the mix up in the hardware, because one bolt was slightly longer, one slightly shorter, but they're all for the bolts for the base, because I was running out of bolts. So I'm not sure if I was short bolts or not, but I'm going to find out. So far I already have everything in for the bottom, so I'm just going to tighten everything down now. You see the label here now. I believe that this was supposed to be in the front, like this. This is the front that I'm looking at right now. This is going to be the rear. Because of where the labeling is. So I'm just using the bolt washer and then a lock washer behind it in a nut. Now I don't know if I have enough washers to put another washer behind. Usually I use a washer in the front and a washer in the back, but in some cases the manufacturer doesn't supply enough washers. I just use one washer to go through the front, and then I just put a lock washer in the back, and then the nut. These don't need to be like extremely tight, and just until it's like snug, and then you're good. They don't have to be on extreme. As long as the bolts are somewhat tight, and you should be fine. Still have to put in the other bolts. The good thing about the lock washers, when you put them in, uh, sometimes you don't even need to use a wrench to hold it down. It'll just tighten it up on its own. So you need to get it in there somewhat in order for it to tighten it down. I'll show you on what I mean. So these haven't been tightened down yet. This is not tightened down yet. So I'm just going to tighten it just by turning the bolt, and it should tighten down by itself because the lock washer is holding it down on its own. Make sure you verify that everything is tight. Don't just rely on the electric ratchet. Although this is a strong electric ratchet, still, you want to make sure that everything is tight. Now, typically, I don't tighten everything down when I'm assembling stuff until I got everything in, because there are sometimes you may need to loosen up everything or a few things in order to get something else in. So, depending on the situation, there are sometimes you should get all of the bolts in first before you tighten everything down. But because this thing was like wobbly and stuff, I want to make sure that it's tightened down. And ideally, also, I shouldn't be wearing like something like sandals. I'm wearing sandals or slippers, which is not a very smart thing, but because I didn't feel like putting on my steel-toed shoes. So, in case if anything falls on your foot, you're gonna have some injuries. So, make sure when you're assembling stuff like this to wear steel steel-toed shoes. Uh, I usually do, but I guess I'm just lazy right now because I'm just at home. So, anyways, we're gonna continue with the rest of the stuff. I think we're moving on to the hydraulic uh, unit stuff to assemble. So I'm still trying to figure out on how to assemble it because all of the instructions are not fully there. So what's next is this piece here has to be loosened. These bolts has to be loosened because it's supposed to sit in between the beam on both ends. So this is not gonna go in unless I loosen up the bolts on both ends. This is where the hydraulic unit is supposed to go in, the piston. This one looks at like rusty or something. I'm not sure if it's because it's been sitting in the warehouse, so probably lubricate it with something like a penetrating oil or something to make it easier to thread inside. So I remove the bolts in the bracket for the one side so I can get it from behind. I just need to center this as much as possible. I think you can just eyeball it, and you can reinstall the bracket after I drop the bolts down there. So I'm just going to adjust this. You have to be careful to not hurt yourself when you're doing this by yourself. It'll be a lot easier if you have two people working on this together rather than a solo, because then it just makes things a bit harder to do. Just tighten this down a tad bit. I don't think there's any way to get this in without taking off the bracket, so that's the only way to get it in. So it's holding in place now. So I'm just going to tighten it up. I don't know on where my socket went, so I'm just going to use a wrench to tighten it down a little bit. If I'm not mistaken, this is adjustable. You can move this back and forth, but I don't know if that's going to be like that after I put in the hydraulic unit in. Now this is gonna go. I'm going to drop this through. There's a piece, that circular piece that I put in earlier off camera. I might have to take that out for a second. This is going to thread down like this, and then this is gonna go in here to lock it into place. So I sprayed it down off camera with a penetrating oil to make it easier. The threads don't look uh, too nice the way it came, but I think it should be okay. I believe they are coarse threads, so I don't think it's a big problem. I'm trying to figure out if this goes at the bottom here. I believe it's supposed to go in before I put this in. I'm not sure. The instructions, there's actually no instructions on this. It's pretty vague, so it doesn't really tell you much. So I'm just trying to see if this goes at the bottom or not. This is not gonna go like that, so I believe it has to go in at the same time all together, so that it locks into place. If I'm not mistaken. So this is going to go underneath to lock it into place. This is going to go underneath. I don't think it's going to matter which way. This will just lock it into place so that it doesn't believe, so it does not move. Just tightening it down by hand. So I don't know if that's the way it works, but just leave it like that for now. I'm not sure if there's like a tool to tighten it down. There's no threads in there, so I still have a bunch of nuts and bolts still remaining. So I'm going to see how I'm going to install the hydraulic unit. It goes like this with the black Allen bolt. There's going to be two on the top and two at the bottom. Just trying to thread it in. Not exactly sure on how that's going to work, but having a look. So the Allen bolt with the washer. That's all I'm using. Just the bolt and the washer to go from behind there. The same for the other side here. you can see the opening and where you can open up for the hydraulic. I think to drain the hydraulic, the fluid. I think it's already filled up with fluid, if I'm not mistaken, or I have to purchase the hydraulic fluid separately. I'm just ti- just hand tightening these at the moment. The rod is gonna go in here. So all the bolts are in. The four bolts. There's two here. I think there's some fluid that's leaking in here. So I may have to fill it up with hydraulic oil. So there's two bolts here. And there's an opening for which the bolt for the I think it's a drain for the hydraulic, if I'm not mistaken. And then there's two bolts up here to to mount the unit, two here and two here to hold the unit in place. I got some oil on my fingers. I may need to get separate hydraulic oil to fill it up with afterwards, I think, if it's not empty. I have the hydraulic hose I'm going to install. I believe is gonna go here. This has to come out, and I still have to install the pressure gauge afterwards. Um, there's a seal that I came with. I don't know if there's a seal that needs to go in here or not. So it doesn't say anything in the instructions regarding about the seal. So I'll probably have to get a wrench to loosen the bolt here so I can install the hose. So I'm just going to tighten down the Allen bolts. Does not need to be extremely tight. These are 8 millimeters. It's a 8 millimeter Allen bolt. In the in instruction the instruction manual, it stated that if you ever need to refill it or drain it, you need to undo the four bolts to take it out, and you would have to service a unit uh, off of the press, and then you would need to reinstall it and bleed it in order for you to use the press again. So now I loosen this up. This is a 21. I don't know, there's a little bit of hydraulic fluid in here. So I need to take the hose. I'm going to install a hose and thread it in by hand only for now. We're going to do the same on the back of the unit. The back of the unit. We just need to tighten it down with the wrench. I believe it's the caps are 21, so we're going to leave this out. These caps, it's a 21 mil. The fitting, it's probably a 17 or something. I think, I'm not 100% sure. 17 or 18. The 18 is working, so we're just gonna use that. Not sure how tight to put this, so I'm just put it on snug. You don't want to put it extremely tight, and we'll just see that we will double check for leaks afterwards in case if it leaks. If it leaks, then we'll try to tighten it up again. So I'm just using an 18, but I believe a 17 is the correct size, but that's okay. It's already tight anyway, so I'm just using an 18, but I think a 17 also works. I'm gonna to loosen the top part so we can install the gauge on top. I think we may be able to be fine. I don't think you need to install any Teflon tape or anything. So I think this is a 24. So I'm gonna go grab a 24 and then come back. This works. 24. Might need to hold this down maybe. There's an O-ring on here. That was here for some reason. I'm not sure why. Not sure if it's supposed to sit in just like that. I'm just gonna leave it in there. There was an O-ring on top. So O-ring that was sitting on top. So we're gonna try to see to thread this in. So now I probably need to get something to hold this down and tighten this down. This is a 27 that I have here. You don't want to over tighten it. I think that should be good. So now it's working now. This is the pressure relief. So you just tighten this up so you can bring the piston down. It does feel strange and weird at first because I'm so used to using the mechanical press. So this you can see it's moving now. I don't know if the piston stops at the very end after it's reached its full travel. So I've already verified for leaks off camera. So I double checked everything. I double checked the hoses and everything. There isn't anything leaking. So everything seems to be okay so far. You do feel that it reaches the end of its travel. This is as far as it goes. So you can't go any more than that. So that's it. I'm gonna retract the knob here. You can see the piston retracting back now, slowly, slowly. Now there are some extra pieces that it came with. I don't know if they are spare parts. There's the support brace or brackets, and there's the two pieces here for the press to put on top over here for the base and for the I'm not sure on what you call it, but the two pieces are supposed to go here when you're doing some work. I'm probably going to show more in detail of me using this press in action. So I do want to press wheel bearings out and in. So I'm probably going to show a video later in the future, hopefully. On on pressing the wheel bearings out and in. So uh, hopefully I'll put this to good use. So anyhow, I think that's pretty much everything. I have a lot of spare bolts and nuts that I did not use for some reason. I'm not sure if I have left or forgot anything, but this is all I need right now to have a working press. So I'm probably gonna put this in the corner somewhere in the basement for now. Um, I think that's basically it. I don't know if I'll put up another video of actually using the press and putting it to work. So one last thing I forgot to mention as well is that the that seal that came in the package is a spare seal for the one here for the gauge, in which you saw earlier. So make sure you don't discard anything. You keep all of the spare bolts and washers and everything, just in case you need to service the unit in the future. So I just I temporarily put the press in the corner somewhere in the basement for now. There's a lot of stuff that I need to organize in the basement. So this is what the finished product uh, looks like. Hopefully, I'll put it to good use, and and when I do, I'll I will make a video. Uh, I'll see if I can. I'll probably make a separate video just for testing purposes. I'll probably press out like a bushing or something and press in the bushing and see if it works. I'll give it a shot to see on how this holds up. And then later I'll probably do some wheel bearings and stuff and just go from there. So that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please don't forget to give it a like. And if you are new to this channel, please consider subscribing. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good day and take care.